Brad Keselowski suffering a lot of damage. He made contact with Kurt Busch.
We're really bad here, Paul.
We're probably ruined for the rest of the day.
Keselowski hung a left turn and absolutely donutted Kurt Busch's car.
Well, guess we get to get in a fight afterwards. We still got a whole bunch to go. No problem at all. We'll keep it all focused in under here.
Kurt Busch, under Jimmy Johnson, regains the top spot.
Across the stripe and winning is Kurt Busch.
Oh my God, Martinsville. I can't believe it. Thank you guys. I never would have thought after 2 years that have been here.
Well, Kurt tore the whole suspension off the car, so it won't turn, it won't do anything. So thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it, bud.
He targeted us. He was aiming for us. He tried to flatten all 4 of my tires. That's a no-fly zone. That's a punk move, and he will get what he gets back when I decide to give it back.
I really wish we just had something to talk about after Martinsville. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Monday post-Martinsville edition of NASCAR America. I'm Marty Snyder, joined by former Martinsville Cup winner Jeff Burton. And you know, short track racing doesn't get any better than it was yesterday at Martinsville, did it?
Well, you take the start of the year that we've had, and then you go to Martinsville. Well, you know, what are you going to have? You're going to have a lot of excitement, short track, a lot of tempers, a lot of emotion. That's what racing's all about.
A lot of fun, and Kurt Busch becomes the 6th different winner in 6 races this season. Also joining us from the winning race shop at Stewart-Haas Racing today is Kelly Stavis. Kelly.
A huge win for Stewart-Haas Racing and the 41 team at Martinsville. Coming up, I'll talk with Kurt Busch about ending his winless streak and about that incident on pit road with Brad Keselowski.
Looking forward to that, Kelly. We'll see you later in the show. So much to get to from the race yesterday. Let's jump right to the highlights. The day actually started with snow flurries. That's right, snow flurries in Martinsville. But we had an on-time green flag with Kyle Busch leading the field to the green flag. Early pit road problems, though, Jeff.
Smallest pit road on the circuit. It's very, very difficult.
We just got destroyed by the 2-car coming out of the pit. We're probably ruined for the rest of the day. I mentioned that this is my favorite racetrack.
That would be the first of many radio conversations, Jeff. Eventually, Brad Keselowski does go behind the wall. Spent some 30 laps back there getting the car repaired. A lot of lead changes. The elevator moved fast at Martinsville. Why, Jeff?
It really did. I thought we had a track with no rubber on it. We had no practice on Saturday. All those things added up to where you had cars that looked really good at times. A little while later, they began to lap down. So we really saw a lot of comers and goers.
A record number of lead changes, 33 among 12 drivers. And here is part 2 of Keselowski Busch.
Yeah, was that his hand out the window? What was he,
Yes,
what was he doing?
It was his hand out the window.
Yeah. Was he telling number 1?
He was saying you're number 1.
I got you.
You're number 1.
Well, guess we get to get in a fight afterwards. I'm going to go that dude's face up. Is the 41 that drove us in, was he the one that put us up pit road as well?
He's the one that ran over us, I guess.
Kurt clearly fired up. The 2 team a little surprised that they didn't know why the 41 was mad.
Yeah, well, you know, I can see why both people were a little surprised, to be honest.
Jeff Gordon comes in here lap 115 when most of the other leaders stayed out, and this really set up an issue for him, Jeff.
Yeah, here you see everybody gets bottled up in front of him. He can't get slowed down in time. I hate losing track position at Martinsville. I know you want to make your car better, but when you give out track position at Martinsville, you put yourself in position for things like that to happen.
Denny Hamlin called his shot out to the media Friday, said he was going to win, but he finished 19th. Surprised, Jeff?
Well, I'm surprised he didn't run any better than he ran. I don't like talking on Friday. I just don't like it. I think you do your talking on Sunday.
This incident between Jamie McMurray and Dale Earnhardt Jr. certainly drew a lot of attention. Jr. said, I don't know what I could have really done differently.
It's just hard racing. And, you know, when a driver says something right after an incident, don't listen to them, okay? They're full of emotion. They don't know what they're talking about. Both those guys are really good race car drivers. Just a Martinsville accident.
Matt Kenseth here on pit road. He's getting very good at this, isn't he, Jeff?
Oh, he's an expert. Look at this. I mean, he is perfect.
Pirouette.
It's the second time we've seen this year. Really dangerous. All those guys, lucky no one got hurt.
Lap 448. Here goes Clint Boyer. I think at this point, everybody's saying, okay, this is what we expected out of Boyer here.
Yeah, Boyer was coming on strong. Looked like the best car. You could see the 48 had started to lose the handle a little bit. Back end rolled around. Clint took advantage of it.
A lot of the drivers talked about how slick it was, especially late in the run. You see this with Carl Edwards.
Yeah, this back end really came around as opposed to Jimmy. His just came around a little bit. So old tires at Martinsville it's a handful driving a car on old slick tires, and that's what you see happening right here.
On the caution for this incident for Carl Edwards, this happens to Clint Boyer, Jeff.
Yeah, heartbreak for Clint and his guys. You know, they put themselves in position to win a race, and you can just see it falling apart right here. Come in leading a race, great shot to win, a good short-run car also, and they gave it away.
They lost 9 spots, only gained 1 back, and here comes Kurt Busch.
Here he comes, man. Look at the side of that car. It is eating up, but, you know, clean race, good race. Again, Jimmy's car had gotten away from him a little bit, and he just didn't have the best car at the end of the race. Kurt and his guys did a great job making their car the best it could be at the right time.
And Kurt said, I could have dumped him at one point, but I wanted to race him clean considering our past reputation.
Well, Jimmy deserves to be raced clean as well because he's one of the cleanest racers on the racetrack.
You see the congratulations from the car owner, Tony Stewart. Kurt Busch celebrates in victory lane. He breaks an 83-race winless streak. You see the top 10 from yesterday's finish? Any surprises in there for you, Jeff?
Well, you know, obviously, I think, you know, the way Kurt and those guys just performed all day long, they just did a really, really good job. The 2 Petty cars are really good. You know, those are the ones that really said. Paul Menard, again, he's done well this year. There's another top 10 for him. You've
been talking about him for a few weeks. Our other notables, you see A.J. Allmendinger there in 11th.
Yeah, and you know, even Austin Dillon, you know, I don't know how, but every week they find a way to get a good finish. They don't always run there, but when it counts, they get their car good, and he ends up with a 15th.
Now we go to our chase grid, and it shapes up to be very interesting because if you look, the notables in here, to me, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick are in there. They're 20th and 25th in championship standings, so this new format's really paying off for those guys.
Well, it is, and, you know, we talked a lot about, on this show, about points mattering, and I'm telling you, they're going to matter.
Well, yesterday, our Nate Ryan caught up with Kurt Busch after the race, and here's what Kurt had to say about Brad Keselowski.
Poor kid needs to get over things. You know, people run into each other and have accidents. This was on pit road where he ran into the 5 car trying to pit. I was just going to his outside, and then he runs into our door, and then he takes it out onto the track. So there's going to be hell to pay. I'm not stepping aside. When Brad wants to cross that line and try to flatten all 4 of my tires, that's no fly zone in my book.
Kurt was fired up last night. Well, today, this is how we solve everything in the world today, Jeff. Brad Keselowski went to Twitter, and he has backed off a little bit. You see that middle tweet, very important. I don't think it was Kurt's fault for hitting me. Certainly a change of emotions for Brad Keselowski. So one thing is for sure, the fans were certainly fired up. And today, our Kelly Stavis caught up with Kurt Busch to see if Brad's tweets calmed him down any at all and how he was fired up after that big win. Kelly?
Kurt Busch picked up the 25th win of his career, breaking an 83-race winless streak. Kurt, you've had a chance to sleep on it, if you did, in fact, get any sleep. With the journey that you've been on over the past couple of years, how does this win compare to the others?
This one's pretty special, you know, especially with Gene Haas choosing me to jump in his car and go for wins. And to have it come together so quickly with a brand new crew chief, Daniel Knost, the group, we've made mistakes this year, but we've also learned from them very quickly. And it's amazing that we've been able to deliver this soon. But to me personally, it's a large win. Just to get back on top and to kind of close that chapter. Now here with a top team at Stewart Haas, now it's moving forward onto the next chapter of my life.
There was, of course, that incident on pit road with Brad Keselowski early on. At that time, you sounded a bit dejected over the radio. How did you move past that and realize that you had a car that could win this thing?
It was normal Martinsville. You know, there's always little things that jump up and bite you there. And, you know, I thought that with him running into Kane and then veering over to the right and Ken opening our door on the left side, I thought the damage was going to be too much to overcome. And that's my initial reaction about Martinsville. That's not my favorite racetrack. And, you know, the team repaired it, and we stayed on the lead lap, and we were able to just keep working away all through the day to get back up to the front and then to have a shot to race Jimmy Johnson, who I think is one of the best ever at Martinsville. And it's one of my worst tracks. And so to beat Johnson, it's really a big accomplishment for me personally to go and battle him and to battle him cleanly. I think that's the best part is we battled each other and put on a good short track race that our fans want to see, and we came out on top.
Well, emotions certainly ran high throughout. I know passing Jimmy Johnson twice on track, but going back to Brad Keselowski, words exchanged between both of you indirectly. He has since gone back on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen the tweets and come out to say that he doesn't think it was your fault. Is this water under the bridge, a non-issue now?
Well, some of the guys here at the shop have been telling me, you know, what was Brad thinking? And now they're telling me on Twitter he's starting to retract some of it. You know, Brad and I have always been good. We were teammates together. I made a mistake last year. I think he's trying to bring up Kentucky when I got down on the apron. You know, he's wrecked me a couple times at Talladega. It's all part of racing. And pit road is a spot where we all have to be cautious. and we need to make sure we protect those crew guys that are down there. But to me, Brad tried to ruin our day after that. If he would have flattened one of our tires under green, we'd have gone 2-3 laps down, and we wouldn't have had a shot to win. So we'll work through it, but, you know, it's going to be good, racing him hard and not backing down.
Well, Kelly, thanks so much. And we've heard from Kurt today and from yesterday. I think you're still laughing about the Nate soundbite where he said the kid's got to grow up and get over things. But let's start with the incident on pit road. Where do you place blame on what happened to start this whole thing in the first place?
Well, first of all, let's understand Martinsville pit road. It's the tightest pit road we've got. Casey Kane's coming into his pit.
Yeah.
You got Brad leaving, and you got Kurt coming down pit road. They all converge. It just happened, right? So not everything is always one person's fault. It just sometimes things just happen, and that's what we saw here. I think Brad, being in the seat that he was in, he doesn't have the ability that we do. He's not looking at it from the view that we have. He's looking at it from his seat. And sometimes drivers get in their head that something happened that didn't happen. That's what happened here. It goes back, though, right?
Sure.
Brad there was a series of things that happened, and I don't even know what they were, but I guarantee you there was a series of things that happened.
In Kentucky last year, Brad still had his mind.
And so when that happened, he's like, there's that guy again. You know, there's that guy. And you heard him say something about, I'm tired of him being too aggressive. Or, you know, so it all stems from something that happened before this race, I guarantee you.
Well, let's talk about Kurt. And he sounded, we heard the radio clips, terrible. Like he was mentally checked out of this race. How did he get back into it and win this thing, though?
Well, listen, I think we make too much about what drivers say on the radio. Drivers are going to say things on the radio that people hear and they go, oh, my God, he's flipping out. You know, it's an outlet. It's an outlet. You're talking to your guys that you went to battle with. You're going to war with these guys. You're letting them know how you feel, what you want to do, right? I think we all make too much of what drivers say. It's emotional, man. And so he did a good job of getting himself back together, getting back in the race. But again, we want drivers that care. All right?
We want them to show emotion.
Well, we want them to care. And everybody shows it differently. But Kurt cares a great deal. He goes over the top, there's no question. But typically, he reins it back in, and he did so on Sunday.
Let's talk about the significance of the win for Kurt Busch. After the journey he's been on, what does a win like this mean so early in the season for him?
Well, I think it's huge, and I think what he wants to do is he wants to get over this Brad thing and talk about the win, and I don't blame him, you know, because, let's face it, what he went through at Penske was a little bit ridiculous in everybody's mind. He was driving for one of the greatest racers in the world,
right?
And he hated being there, and he was very vocal about it. And it was a little over the top, right? He needed to grow up. He needed to mature. He needed to show himself and other people that he could.
Right.
And he's gone a long way. You got to give him credit. He's gone a long way. And to go to Martinsville, tough racetrack, a track that he hasn't been good at.
His least favorite track.
Yes. And win the race, sixth race, new team, first-time crew chief. That's all good stuff. So you got to give the man credit.
Yeah, certainly was a big win for him. Let's take a look at some numbers, though, for the dominant car of the day, Jimmie Johnson. Look at all those laps he's led this year. In fact, he's led over half of the last two races, over 400 laps in the last two races, and no wins to show for it. He had a stretch like this last year, Jeff, where he was dominating races and was not winning those races. Are you a little concerned if you're Jimmie Johnson and Chad Canals?
I'm bothered by it, but I'm not concerned by it. This team is the best. I don't care what anybody says. They're the best. They put themselves in position to win a lot of races. And when you put yourself in position to win races, you're not going to win all of them. When they don't win, it stands out. This team will be a championship contending team. This team is still the best team in all of racing. They're going to be just fine.
I'm betting it won't be long before we see that 48 back in victory lane. Well, you can certainly count Kurt Busch among the winners. He becomes the second driver to end a winless streak of 55 races or more in 2014.
Just a really proud day for Richard Petty Motorsports. You know, it's been a really tough week for us all. We lost Miss Linda, Richard Petty's wife, during the week, so we wanted to win for her, but top five, we'll still take it, and we're really proud of our efforts.
As the race wore on, we had a loose condition that we just couldn't really get out of the car. And I really felt like on the short run we would be fine and have everybody covered, but the 41 showed up, and I just didn't have enough rear grip to kind of hold them off and take advantage of things.
we're consistently running up front. We're leading laps in every single race. We just got to keep that going. And then eventually we're going to lead the last lap and get a trophy. We just got to be patient and do the best we can.
The emotion of performing at my best and then to deliver, I had this sharp chill go through my body of, I've done it. And it takes a team to do it. It's not just me and the crew chief or the pit crew that jumps over the wall. There's a full channel of everybody and a whole group of guys back at that shop that we're hopefully not going to tear the lobby down on Monday morning when we party. It's that camaraderie.
I did check in with Kelly, the lobby intact at Stewart Haas Racing, Jeff.
Thank goodness.
I know, we're all glad for that. Kurt snapped several winless streaks on Sunday, including the 83 race winless streak, but to do it at his worst racetrack, his self-proclaimed worst racetrack, that's impressive.
Well, it really is, and 83 races is a long time. It feels like an eternity, especially with all the things that he went through. To go there, and you heard him say it, like when the incident happened with Brad, he said, yeah, by the way, did I mention I hate Martin, you know what I mean? So, to get it there, it did mean a lot.
Gets in your head at some point. Now it's time for Expect the Unexpected, brought to you by Mobil 1. And who would have thought? 6 races in, 6 different faces in victory lane. You see all the celebrations from 2014. First time that's happened since 2003. The record is 10 straight different winners, but Kurt said it in his post-race yesterday. He's not so sure one win gets you into the chase. That was the conventional wisdom coming into the season. Jeff, I want to know from you, do you still think one win gets you in when we still have guys like Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin? They all have not won this year yet.
I'm going to be really surprised if we have 17 winners in the first 26 races. That's going to surprise me. But what is going to happen is you're going to have to be maybe 5th, 6th, 7th in points to use that point position, because if you have 14 cars that get in with wins, there's only a couple spots left, so you're going to have to be way up in points to be able to use those points.
The window is shrinking, in essence. If you're not getting a win to get in on points, that window is shrinking.
No question, no question.
Should be a lot of fun to certainly watch that. Well, we've talked about the Martinsville winner, but who won in Jeff Burton's book? We'll talk about who impressed the mayor at Martinsville. That's coming up next. Four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel races to claim his 3rd Bahrain title at the Formula One Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern right here on NBC SN. We kicked off our Sunday in Malaysia, honoring the Malaysia Flight 370 that was lost 3 weeks ago, at a moment of silence for the F1 race. It was a Lewis Hamilton show. He led wire to wire for his first win of the season. His teammate Nico Rosberg finished 2nd. It's the first 1-2 finish for the Mercedes factory teams since 1955. Sebastian Vettel finished 3rd, his first podium of the young season. To IndyCar, where Will Power was simply dominant at St. Pete in the season opener. Here you see the outside pass on Takuma Sato on lap 31 to take the lead, and he never was really threatened after that. Going back to last year, makes it 3 straight wins for Will Power in the series. Ryan Hunter-Reay wound up finishing 2nd. Helio Castro-Neves was 3rd. And we capped off our Sunday in the evening, racing in Martinsville with the Camping World Truck Series, where Matt Crafton survived 2 green-white checkered finishes to collect the win. Bubba Wallace wound up finishing 2nd in that race. Well, Jeff, they finally let me out, and they're going to let me play with a touchscreen. I'm so excited. Yeah. Are you going to allow me to do it, or
just
what?
don't break it, all right? Because
I won't break it.
Everything's been good, so don't mess that up.
All right, we want to talk about the guys that impressed you the most at Martinsville.
Well, 2 guys from Richard Petty Motorsports I thought did a great job. Marcos Ambrose and Eric Amarola. Tough week, obviously, with Linda Petty passing away. And coming to Martinsville, kind of a home race for those guys, really. You think about where their shops are and what the Petty organization has meant to that area. So, really good run for these guys, and hopefully they can keep it going.
Yeah, the big key for them could be the 1.5 miles next week, whether they can continue that momentum. They've been great at short tracks.
No question. That's going to be the test. That's what that team's got to do to move forward. But we'll just celebrate what they did Sunday, because they had a great day.
Absolutely. Another guy was Clint Boyer.
No question. I mean, this team early in the race looked really bad, to be quite honest. They were running in the 20s, didn't look good. He was really not happy with the car. They methodically got better. Had the best car on the racetrack, in my opinion. I thought they had the best shot to win the race. Obviously, bad pit stop. This cost them. But, these things happen. They got to pick themselves up. It's going to be okay. We're going to put ourselves in position to win some more races and then go make it happen.
I don't think at the end of the year we're going to be thinking about whether Boyer has won a race or not.
I don't think so, but one of those teams that needs to think about points because, they could be that team that transfers in. A.J. Allmendinger and his team, we've got to give those guys a shout-out.
Right.
This truly is a small team. This is their first year with affiliation with Richard Childress Racing. They've had 2 good finishes back-to-back. They've been pretty solid on pit road.
At 2 very different tracks, too.
No question. A.J.'s done a good job keeping the car clean, running fast. So, these guys really did good. Had a really, really good Sunday.
Nice run for those guys. Of course, Kurt Busch wanted a short track this past weekend, and so did many others around the country in the heart of racing from tracks like Southern National Motorsports Park. Hey, I'm there like every weekend. We call it Kenly, North Carolina is where we call it. A short drive over to 311 Motor Speedway in Pine Hall, North Carolina, near my hometown, and all the way down to DeSoto Speedway in Bradenton, Florida. The heart of racing continues to beat, and so does NASCAR America. NBCSN. On this day in NASCAR 1963, Fireball Roberts beat Holman Moody teammate Fred Lorenzen by 5 seconds to score his only Bristol win. 1996, Jeff Gordon and teammate Terry Labonte won 2 at Bristol, marking the first time team owner Rick Hendrick had a 1-2 finish at the world's fastest half mile. Well, since its inception in 2008, NASCAR's Green has become one of the largest and most powerful environmental platforms in the country. NASCAR has the largest recycling program and renewable energy program in the world among sports properties. Well, Jeff, real quick, let's look at the chase grid once again. The notable thing I want to look at here, Tony Stewart in 17th. He is now 8 points out of that top 16. If he did that, he would therefore fulfill his preseason promise of having 3 cars in the chase. Isn't this a team that we were all worried about after the Daytona 500?
Well, that's as of now. There's a lot that's going to happen now.
Right.
Yeah. So between now and then, we're going to have a lot more winners. A lot of things are going to happen. 16th in points, they ain't going to cut it, man. You're going to have to be higher in points if you don't have a win. So, they still have some improvements to go. Right. We heard Kurt make a comment about, this win can't hide the deficiencies they have. They still have some improvements. But without a doubt, they seem to be heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's the key thing is that they are going in the right direction for Stewart-Haas to maybe get those 3 cars into the chase.
Expanding from 3 teams to 4 is not an easy thing. And I think people don't understand how hard it is to go from 3 to 4. It's not just as easy as hiring more people. It changes a great deal, makes it harder. Long term, it's a good thing, but short term, it makes it difficult.
Especially as late as Stewart-Haas did it, and they pulled it off and already got the 41 in victory lane. From the entire NASCAR America family here on NBCSN, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Follow us on Twitter at NASCAR on NBC. An NHL doubleheader is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.